What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who it is. It is the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And man, what an exciting night I have planned for you guys. I've got GGP, the Greek god Papadon, who's going to be on the show tonight. But before we bring out Mr. GGP, I want to take a quick second, a quick pause for that fucking cause and thank some of those amazing sponsors and help us keep this show going every single week. First up is Sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, Sleefs.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to check out Sleefs.com. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, headbands, knee bands, boots, mouth guards. They've even got dirty boxes. So guys, go and check out Sleefs.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD and get a 10% discount off your final purchase, baby. Next up is healthvape.com. Healthvape is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products are no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals, and they're vitamin infused. It's like vaping a fucking Red Bull. So guys, go out and check out healthvape.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD and get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Woo! Guys, also, while you're at it, wherever you're finding the MWA Podcast Network, please give us a subscription, hit that subscribe, hit that bell, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment if you're finding us on a podcast platform. Please leave us a 5-star review. We much appreciate it. But guys, without further ado, we're going to get started with my interview with GGP, the Greek god Papadon. Hey, brother, welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me there, Dad Bad God. I love the fucking moniker. Very sexy. I love it. It's nice.
Thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate it, dude. I've wanted to have you on for a long time, and I feel like we know a lot of similar people, man, as well. So I'm really excited to have you on. I've really enjoyed, obviously starting off, the Conspiracy Horseman podcast that you guys were doing, which I first sort of, really found and discovered what you were doing podcast wise. I knew about your wrestling, but podcasting was when I found that with you and Ben. And, that to me was an amazing podcast that you guys had going on. And, it was something really different. But how did you start getting into podcasting and going down that road?
Just like wrestling, I lost a bet. No, I'm kidding. It was easy. What happened was, I'm not very tech savvy, believe it or not, even though Greeks invented technology, but I digress. I was talking to Ben one day. I was talking to Stevie Richards and Sal, Big Sal Graziano. We were talking on Messenger. And the four of us all found out, hey, you're woke. You're not woke. You're awake. And X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C. We start talking about certain situations and topics, and I'm like, you know what, guys, we should do a fucking podcast. And they're like, yo, let's do it. And this is after the fact that Ben was doing, I think, Hardcore Happy Hour with Ben Hamin, and he had Stevie on first episode, and I think they started talking about 9/11, and that's how the four of us started talking after the podcast dropped. And we're like, why don't we do our own podcast about this? And they're like, great. I was like, and I came up with the name Conspiracy Horseman, and I came up with the logo, and because I draw like comic books and stuff like that. And Ben made it even better when he took it and did his computer graphics and stuff like that. And that's how the podcast started. We ran strong for like 3.5 years, but then we got shadow banned and we got thrown off every platform we were on: YouTube, Podbean, Twitch. I guess we were saying the right things and the right people were listening. So we're trying to come back. But the problem is, trying to get everyone on board to do it all over again after being absent for so long. The last time we spoke together as a podcast, we interviewed David Icke. And that was like a 45-minute podcast that went to almost 2 hours long. 2 hours too long, if you ask me. David Icke, from that, in my opinion, and I know I might be burning some bridges here, but I don't give a fuck. He's like an old wasp woman. He's a carny fuck. And I realized that in the podcast, he tries to be the smartest guy in the conversation, as opposed to, being wrestlers, we're able to expose people, because we're in the business. It becomes, and when the four of us have been in the business very, very long time. So it's like a second nature or a sixth sense to us when we can smell bullshit a mile away. And I smelled it with David Icke. I'm like, this fucking guy's just an entertainer. Fuck him. You know what I mean? But whatever. Yeah. You guys can go on YouTube and see.
Work you.
Exactly. And you guys can go on YouTube and all those other podcasts platforms. I think that not YouTube, but like I think it's on Spotify or whatever. You type in Conspiracy Horseman. I think that episode is up, but only verbally, like audible. I mean, you can't get it like on YouTube. We even threw up on Vimeo. That got banned in a matter of like 15 minutes. Everything got taken down real quick. So yeah,
were you guys threatened like? Physically at all, like, because obviously when you start going shadow banning and stuff like that, obviously you're hitting some pretty major like sore points for a lot of people.
Not physically. We got letters legally. You know what I'm saying? And we lawyered up, and we try to fight it, but then we saw that the financial ends can't justify the means, and now we are where we are. There's a ton of people all over the world, Australia, England, US, they hit me up all the time. When's the Horseman coming back? When's the Horseman coming back? We want the Horseman. So hopefully sooner than later, we'll see. But in the meantime, and in between time, steal a phrase from Jericho, I do the NFO podcast, which is the new Force Order, which is the direct ripoff of the NWO logo, because I'm a big NWO mark, So we took it, of course, greatest storyline of all time. Until it wasn't. So I put an F instead of a W, and myself and a guy named Spiro Antonopoulos started the podcast. Then a buddy of mine named Alex Arroyo, who's a doctor, joined the podcast after he was a guest on the podcast, episode 7, which he claims is the greatest episode of all time. But I digress. We asked him to join the crew, and now Spiro backed off because he has other commitments. He does a podcast as well called Rational Rage, which is really good. But he doesn't have enough time to do all these other podcasts. He kind of fell out of love with Star Wars, with the way the Star Wars community and the fandom is right now. So he stepped away. So just Alex and myself, and we just talk about Star Wars. And it's a fun time because it's not your paint by number Star Wars podcast where we check all the box just so we can make sure that we get a spot or sponsorships from Lucasfilm. We're rugged, we're raw, we're like the bad boys of Star Wars. Not to put myself over or try to act cool, but it's like an 80s, 90s podcast. We do a lot of dick and fart jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But like I've heard like the Star Wars like fan base is like some pretty hardcore motherfuckers. Like as far as like like toxicity goes and stuff like that. Like they're very they got nothing on like the internet wrestling community has nothing on the Star Wars community from what I've heard.
They're very similar. To be very fair, the Star Wars fandom, they're neck and neck. I mean, there's certain days where the Star Wars fandoms are more toxic than wrestling fans, and there's other days where the wrestling fans are more toxic than the Star Wars fans. But they're both equally retarded. I'm sorry, I don't want to use that word anymore. They're both equally stupid.
Ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of it can be. And I think when you've got passionate fans and when people are passionate about something, like they can sometimes have blinders on where it's like, dude, really? You're going to argue with someone over the internet over a fucking like who headlined WrestleMania, you know what I mean? Or like what happened in Star Wars 3. Like it just surprises me how some people can act.
Listen, unfortunately, social media is the demise of civilization, in my opinion. A lot of these people hide behind their keyboards. They're keyboard tough guys or tough girls, and that's a problem because they'll get their little platform and they beat on their chest and they scream as loud as they can, like a little 5-year-old in the supermarket
Yeah.
wanting cookies, and the parents telling them no, you can't have it, and they're throwing a fit. And finally, the parents don't want anyone else to in the supermarket to look at them, and they give in and they buy the cookies for the kids. And that's what I can relate the internet community to, especially Twitter, and especially some of the fan bases like Star Wars and wrestling and things of that nature. Everybody wants to be a quarterback. Everybody Monday morning, oh, if I did it, I would do X, Y, and Z. Then why aren't you doing it?
Yeah,
You know, like we
exactly.
said, like we said before we got on the air, when we have these wrestling fans saying he doesn't know how to wrestle. Oh, really? How many people have you beaten, you seasoned veteran? Like you said, like, come on now, Sunshine. You guys don't know your wristwatch from a wrist lock. You guys don't know your ass from your elbow. You're gonna tell people in the ring who've been doing this how to do it. I mean, granted, some of them don't belong to be in the ring, but that's
Yeah.
another story for another time.
But also, I think that that's not the opinion of a fan to be able to, like, that's not the fan's decision to make who gets in and out of the business. Like, if you get in there and you can go, prove yourself to it, that you can hang in that situation, okay, you know what I mean? But for a fan to sit there and like, hey man, nah, that person can't wrestle. It's like, I've heard like so many fans say that about performers, and I'm just like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Let me explain something to people out there right now listening to this podcast. You can teach a dog or a monkey or the dumbest kid in the world to wrestle. Wrestling is just wrestling. It just moves. But if there's no meaning behind the moves, it's not what you do, it's when and how you do it that matters. It's called working. If you don't know how to work, then you'll never be able to captivate an audience and make that emotional connection. And that's what working is all about, making that emotional connection with the fans. Now, granted, in my opinion, working is a lost art. There's too many citizens of leg slap city nowadays that like to slap their legs and no sell strikes, but sell a chop, or get up after taking a devastating move and hit a move and then not sell a devastating move in the match. And it's like watching an arcade game or a video game, or be to get watching tennis when the ball's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. After about 30 seconds of watching tennis players hitting the ball back and forth, you're tired of seeing it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you got to make that emotional connection. People react to what they love. And if you get them to love you or hate you, and then you got them in the palm of your hands, then it doesn't matter what you do. They're emotionally vested in you. You get over. I tell people this all the time. Moves don't matter. You could do the prettiest move in the world, right? The move gets over. You'll get booked because you do a fucking flippity doodah off the top rope. That flippity doodah is the best thing since sliced bread. What happens? The first time they seen it, everyone's whipping out their Johnsons and stroking. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, then what happens? The 10th time they seen it, they're on their phones. They're texting. They're not even watching. Why? Because it got watered down. It's already old. It's stale. Technology's killed people's attention spans. So now what? The move you did is not over anymore. You were never over, so people are not going to be interested in you. And you were too worried about getting your move over that you didn't do your job and get your opponent over, so the opponent didn't get over, and the storyline didn't get over. So we all just pissed in the wind, and nothing happened. And then you're left with your Johnson in your hand. And that's wrestling in a nutshell. Because people need to learn that the number one rule in professional wrestling: get your opponent over, get the storyline over. And in the meantime, and in between time, get yourself over too while you're getting your opponent over. And that is the art of working. And a lot of people don't work. They just go in there, call a match from A to Z, and expect the fans to clamor because they're doing the latest cool move, or they're slapping their leg, and they're doing fucking crazy moves and getting hurt on the apron, on the floor, on top ropes, this, that, and the other. But no one gives a fuck, because then when the fans go home, they're not going to remember what they saw. If they saw 17 car wrecks, you think they're going to be able to say, car wreck number 6, the tail light flew off 0.75%, and I got to take off a star on that match. Fuck out of here, dude. What the fuck do you know? You're there to make a fucking, you're there to watch a show, and that's exactly what it is. It's a show, and you watch a movie, you make that emotional connection with the heavy, the lead heel, and you make that emotional connection with the hero in the movie, and it takes you on an emotional roller coaster. That's what wrestling should do.
And when wrestling's done right, it can do it. And
of course,
I honestly believe, like, and I've taken a friend of mine to a wrestling show here in Sydney, to a PWA show, and these guys are like top notch, like best in Australia, PWA, hands down. And I took my buddy to the show. I said, "Hey, I got an extra ticket. Just come with me. You'll have a good time." And he's not a wrestling fan. He's not a hater on it. He's wasn't a fan. Like, just wasn't a regular watcher. He came to that show and was able to see like good wrestling, get a connection with the performers in the ring. Dude, by the second match, he's like, up, what the fuck? Like he's emotionally invested, right? And he's someone who was like, yeah, it's wrestling. All right, I'll come and watch or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but he got invested. And from the start of the show to the end of the show, he was hooked because,
of course,
listen,
you can't reinvent the wheel. All right. I've been wrestling 23 years, right? I'm 44 years old. It'll be 23 years in July that I've been doing this thing in my underwear, right? So I've wrestled all over the world. I've wrestled everybody on TV, everybody in the AEW. I've been in the ring with, or in the locker room with, or teamed with, or whatever the case may be. Case in point is this: I still go to shows. I wrestle every weekend, all over the independent scene, and every show I go to, I get the most heat. I go to the show, people leave, they remember who I am, and they boo me out of the building. The money is always in the heat, always in the sell. That's it. It's not in slapping your fucking leg like a mark. It's not worrying about the crowd, making fucking reactions, pleasing the crowd to get that, this is awesome chant, trying to work for it. Because here's the issue. And you see a lot of old school wrestlers from the 80s, the 70s, the early 90s, even the 90s, but when K-Wave was still on the fence.
Yeah.
They worked the crowd, right? And they dictated the crowd. They were the puppet masters and controlled the crowd. Somewhere around the 2000s, when kayfabe started being blemished because of the internet and everything else, the crowd started controlling the wrestlers. Now people are wrestling and worrying about how many stars their match get. Or people are wrestling and worrying about trying to get a chant from the fans. No, you don't do that. You go out there and you tell the fans what to do and how to react. That's called working. I've seen so many people go out there and worry about trying to quote unquote get their shit in. And when they get their shit in, it's flat because they didn't do it right. And they come in the back and they're high-fiving each other. That was a great match, bro. Yeah, dude. And they go online. I want to thank Wrestler A for my match. You're so professional. Yeah, Wrestler B. No, brother, it was an honor wrestling you. Yo, come here. Let me take a picture with you. Let's 69 each other. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, really, dude? Like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, seriously. It doesn't make any sense when you pull back the curtain, you lose all mystique. Then the fans win. The fans, they don't care about you guys. You got to control the fans. You think an actor in a play looks out to the audience and goes, "Oh, this is the part in Shakespeare when I want you to clap. This art is thou awesome." And come on now, please. I'm sorry, I'm getting into a ramble now.
No, not at all. Like it's interesting that you say that because I watched an episode of NXT not too long ago. And it was like a triple threat match. And like I sat there and watching the match. And as I said earlier, like I've never wrestled. So like there's certain things like I don't get. But this thing that for me being a non-worker, I'm sitting there watching and going, this isn't a match. This is just this person doing 3 spots, then this person doing 3 spots, then the third guy coming doing 3 spots, and the first guy coming back doing another 2 spots. And this guy, they're just going move for move. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Listen, multi-man matches are hard to pull off. But if you do it right, it's entertaining because it's something different. I watched WrestleMania this year, all right? Yeah. And I watched the tag team match with Randy Orton and what's that dude's name? The bro dude.
Riddle.
Yes, Riddle, right? And the other 2 teams. It was the Alpha Academy, I think it's called, and then the other 2 guys,
Street Profits?
Street Profits, right? Pulling off a triple threat tag team match is very fucking difficult. Very difficult. But they did it. And they pulled it off. And it was entertaining. So kudos to everyone in that match. Again, you just said it. You watched NXT, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. No fucking emotions. no attachment, nothing. It was just the sake of fucking doing shit for the sake of doing shit. I guarantee you can't remember anything from the match, move wise. You can't remember at the 38-second mark what they did. Maybe you remember the finish if they did it right. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's the problem. Wrestling, unfortunately, it's almost like it needs to find itself again in certain aspects. And the problem is when you tell this to people, yeah, and then they go on, and wrestlers are a bunch of whores. We are. We want the attention. We want the limelight. And they go do what the flavor of the week is, whether it's a Canadian Destroyer, a pile driver, a super kick, fucking Chop City, whatever. I mean, we said before you got in the air, workers come up to you and they go, oh, what'd you think of my match? What can I do to do better? And you say, hey, brother, I'm not a worker. But you know why they come to you? Because they want to hear how good they are from someone who has a platform, who reaches to the fans, because they think they're getting themselves over. They're trying to work the system. Meanwhile, they're exposing themselves as marks. And I hate using that term, but that's the end of the day. Like you said it best. Go up to the seasoned veteran, ask him what he thought of his match if you watched it. Why are you asking me? I'm a fan. Yeah. You know, and I see that all the time. And people come up to me, they say, hey, Pop, you watch my match. Okay. And there's only a select few that listen, but there are people who come and I watch their match and I go, hey, man, you did this well. That was cool. But A, B, and C, you need to fix. And because you did A, B, and C, it made no sense because of X, Y, Z. Now, if you did it like this, or you did it like this, and you did it like this, you might have gotten a louder pop because you're building on a pop. You made that emotional connection. Okay, thanks. But that thing I did was really cool. Oh, you want me just to stroke your ego? All right,
you want to be justified.
Yeah, good job. Now fuck out of my face. You know what I mean? Like, enough's enough.
Yeah, and that's interesting, man, because that's one thing I see a lot in some aspects of the business where, like, a lot of times, and I think this is a lot more in society as well. Like when it's almost like when a friend comes up to you and says, hey man, I need some advice. I got this chick and like, this is what the situation is. And you as a friend, you give them honest advice because that's what friends do. You straight shoot with your boys, right? And then they go, yeah, but, and whenever I hear someone ask me for advice and I give it to them, they go, yeah, but I just turn around and go, all right, before you go any further, what do you want me to tell you? What do you want to hear? What are you saying, Piers? Well, just tell me what you want to hear and I'll tell you that. And then we can get past this and I'll go on with the rest of my day.
Exactly. It happens in every aspect of life. And unfortunately, a lot of these people in the wrestling business are like, they're part of the yeah, but crew. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's sad. You know what I mean? It's so sad because, there's been times I tell kids advice and they tell me, okay. And then they hear it from someone who's on TV and they're amazed. Wow, I never heard that before. I just told you that fucking 2 weeks ago, dude. What are you talking about? You didn't hear that before. Yeah. Oh, because he's from TV, it counts. Okay. No problem.
But it's almost like, when my kids, they'll come up to me, like my wife, and go, hey, mum, can I have a chocolate? She'll say yes. And then straight away they'll come up to me. Hey, dad, can I have a chocolate? I'll say no. Then they get upset and start crying. And it's like, you already got the fucking yes. Then why, you know what I mean? You already got the answer you wanted to hear. Why the fuck are you coming over here to get, you know what I mean? And then.
This in wrestling is the only business that grown men act like fucking children. And it's acceptable. You have no idea how many times I have to deal with promoters. And I tell promoters, okay, they try to book me or I reach out to someone, hey man, you have a show coming up. Do you have anything available? Oh, what's your fee? I tell them my fee. Oh, well, I have this guy wrestling for this much and that guy, well, that's good for them. They're not going to do what I do. You know what I mean? Like, why are you telling me that, what are you trying to tell me here? That you don't want to pay me this? You don't think I'm worth that? Just fucking tell me I don't have the money. Why are you wasting my time? Like, be honest. There's a lack of communication in this business. Now, granted, I don't want to come off like a negative Nelly. You know what I mean? No. I don't want to be like this fucking veteran who's like, oh, back in my day. No, there's a lot of good in the business. There's a lot of good people that I do business with. There's a lot of great talent out there. I think the business right now is saturated with a lot of great talent. But for every one good guy, there's a fucking 10 rotten red real guys out there who think they are God's gift to wrestling and they don't want to put in the time, the effort, to get to the level where they need to get. And they might have the potential to reach that level, but they're not willing to sacrifice themselves in order to get there. I tell people wrestling's a lifestyle. It's not something you turn on 9 to 5. You know, and anyone who ever asks me, I want to get in the business, first thing I tell them is, do you want to lose the magic? What do you mean? Because when you become a wrestler, you find out how the sausage is made, then you can't watch wrestling the same way. You're not a fan anymore. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
watch it with the lenses come off, you watch it with a new pair of glasses, and now you're watching it as someone who's within the business, and you see the errors that you've never seen before, or you realize someone's off a step in the ring, or someone's carrying somebody, whatever the case may be, and it changes your view and your scope on the business. If you're willing to
100%.
if you're willing to sacrifice that and you're willing to commit, I'll take you to the right place and you can go join up and be a wrestler. That's fine. But
I 100% agree with you, man. And even for me, someone like who's doesn't in ring perform, but still part of the shows in other aspects. Even now, I sit down and watch the business. I look at it with a different eye. Obviously, not of that as an in ring performer, but I look at it from a production aspect, from how these workers work together. Okay, I wonder what the vision they were told to go out there and deliver, what the story was that they were told. Because I honestly think sometimes when I see people being critical of wrestling, whether it be television, WWE, AEW, whatever, I sit back and go, okay, what was the booker or the writer's vision? May not have been the same vision of performer A and performer B. So you've got three different people that could have seen this through different lenses, and they've gone, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying, but okay, I'm seeing it done this way, and this person saying I'm seeing it done this way, and then clusterfuck or whatever happens, and then people start going, oh, that was shit. Where it wasn't really shit, it was just they weren't all on the same wavelength.
yep, it happens a lot more times than you think. That's why, when if I put a match together with somebody who likes to put a match together from start to finish, see, I'm very flexible. I'm very lucky. I was trained by two great wrestlers. I was trained mainly by Homicide at the Doghouse in Queens. I mean, Brooklyn. And then when that Doghouse closed down, I went to NYWC and I continued my training and tutelage under Mikey Whipwreck, where I got polished up by Mikey. So, in my opinion, those two individuals are the godfathers of Northeast independent wrestling. Everybody who's anybody came under their family tree. So I was very fortunate to sit under both their learning trees. So I'm very fortunate that I'm able to work any style. I can work that British World of Sports style. I work a Lucha Libre style. I work that Japanese strong style, traditional American style. I can brawl. I don't do hardcore deathmatch wrestling. I'm too pretty to bleed. So that's not my thing. But I can work any style, and I have, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't like calling my matches from start to finish. I like working on the fly. I like to feel the crowd. I get a sense of when to do, what to do, how to do it by listening to the people. And that becomes through on-the-job experience. And I've been doing it so long that it's, again, second nature, sixth sense to me, right? It's like changing socks. It's just, or smelling or breathing. It's just common sense to me. So, but if I get somebody who likes to call something because they don't feel comfortable working on the fly, then I'll sit down and I'll listen to what they tell me. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. And I'll ask them, okay, you want to do this. How do you do it? Well, I do it like this. Okay, because when you told me you want to do this, I envisioned doing it a different way. So it's a good thing I asked you because now we're on the same page. And again, communication, bro. It all comes down to communication. And there's no such thing as dumb questions. You won't go out there. You got the person's life in your hand. That's a responsibility in itself. You don't want to fuck it up and hurt the guy, because or the girl, So it is what it is. So people need to just put their big boy pants on and realize sometimes you got to fucking put in an extra inch or an extra mile to get the results you want to get. And I'm not just talking about working out in the gym or taking extra days in the ring, but asking that extra question. Oh, I'm sorry. What do you mean? You want to do this thing? Oh, okay. You do it how? Oh, thank you for telling me because I was thinking you're going to do it like this. And you're doing it the other way. This way I know no one gets hurt and it's done right and I make you look good, which is my job. So
exactly. You avoid injury, you avoid being hurt, but you mentioned being trained by Homicide and Mikey Whipwreck, and obviously guys that from everything I've been told by the crew like Mega and Bulu and Lowrider, and I've had a chance to speak.
They're all my boys. Shout out to Mega. Shout out to fucking Boog. Shout out to Lowrider, Wapple. Shout out to Angel. They're all my boys. We go way back, way back.
Yeah, man. Nah, they're incredible, and I've had opportunities to speak with Homicide, man, and he seems like one of those guys who, like, as a trainer, really instills like the old school values of the business as well. Like from start to finish, like this is how, like, you know what I mean, like how you do the in ring shit, but also the political side of things, how you handle yourself as a performer backstage, as a man backstage, going up, shaking hands, and like I can imagine he wouldn't have minced any fucking words with anybody, to be honest.
No, listen, the doghouse was what it was. And to be honest with you, if it was around today, they'd probably get canceled and they probably get fucking thrown out of business real quick because there's a lot of fucking soy boys in the business right now. A lot of fucking snowflakes who worry about their feelings and can't take criticism. And the doghouse was an old school training ground where they beat the shit out of you to see if you were tough enough to come back. And the majority of the people didn't come back. And those who did come back and stayed there and wrestled there and became family, there's a bond between us that it's unbreakable, that goes back almost 25 years. You know, and some of them even longer because they're from the arena of Puerto Rico before the doghouse. So, you know, you can't have wrestling like that nowadays because people are too sensitive. You know, like I just said, a bunch of snowflakes. And then Mikey's training, which wasn't brutally physically tough. Like he wasn't like, I'm gonna break your leg and see if you come back. He was mentally fucking tough. He put you through drills, through exercises, squats. He make you sit up against the wall and hold the chair for minutes on end to see how tough you were. And if you pissed him off, see you later, alligator. You're done. Get out of class. Come back to the next class when your ego's checked at the door. And that's what, you know, that's what you need to do. I mean, Piers, I don't know how it is in Australia. I mean, you tell me how good PWA is. Tell them to fucking book me so we can have a beer and hang out. But
Absolutely.
But I would say 95% of the kids nowadays that join to become a professional wrestler have never been in a real fight, have never thrown a punch.
Yeah.
And you can't emulate a fighting scenario without knowing what it is to be in a fight. You know what I mean? Boog says in one of the podcasts at the Dogcast we were trying to do moonsaults. And I kept trying to do standing moonsaults. I kept Germaning myself in the back of the neck. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm never doing a moonsault. I don't feel comfortable going backwards. It's not my thing, right? So, but if someone goes to me, hey, Pop, you know, I want you to do a moonsault, I'll tell them, no, I can't. I won't, because I'm going to make it look like shit. I know what I can do and I do it well. I will never try to emulate a moonsault because I can't do a moonsault. Some of these kids never been in a fight. So when they try to throw fucking punches in a match or strikes in a match, it looks like they're cracking eggs. It doesn't look like they're fucking throwing a real fist. They don't know how to fight because and I ask people, do you know what it feels to be, you know, in a fight? No.
Yeah.
You ever gone to a fight? No.
Face,
yeah.
But
you want me to punch you in the face? No. You know, they're like, go. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I feel like when you talk to someone, you know straight away if this motherfucker's been punched in the face in their fucking life. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain level of like balls that people have that have never been punched in the face. When like and you have a conversation with someone, and go, oh, you're one of these motherfuckers that have just like you're a cop caller, or you're one of these motherfuckers that like will push the limit. Oh, you touch me, I'll call the police. Oh yeah. You just need a smack in the mouth.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Well, that's the civilization we live in now. They say hard times make for great men and great times make for soft men. So we're in the soft men era right now. So the 80s and 90s were great when these kids were all born. So it is what it is. I mean, hopefully it changes back and people start to realize that, you know, getting yelled at by a coach or getting benched and not everybody getting a fucking participation trophy builds character. You know, standing up to I hate bullies. I hate bullies with a passion, even though I emulate being a dick in the ring because I'm a heel. I hate bullies with a passion. And I tell my kids, if someone bullies you in school, punch him in the mouth. And my wife's like, no, tell the teacher. Fuck that. What's the teacher going to do? Punch him in the mouth. They'll never mess with you again.
That's the same conversation I had with my kids. And my wife is a school teacher. And she was like, and I was like, oh, yeah, if someone bullies you, you just, you know, take care of business, right? She's like, no, you go and tell the teacher. If someone hits you, you go and tell the teacher. And I was saying to my wife, I go, you don't get where I was, like, how I grew up. You don't fucking go and snitch. No. You, and I said to you, and I tell my kids will go, oh, daddy, this happened. What are you telling me? Go sort it out between the two of you. That's not worth coming and telling me. But you know what I mean? You want me to get involved? You both get in trouble. Go sort it out.
Listen, I'm not a tough guy by any means, and violence
Me
for me is
neither.
always the last resort. But I am the motherfucker that if trouble finds my way, I will never back down. And that's
Yeah.
been a testament to me almost my entire life, outside the ring and sometimes inside the ring, because I'm so brutally honest, and I'll tell a person to his face, hey, you're a dick, go fuck yourself. It's coming back to bite me in the ass a couple times for being honest. I won't say shit behind people's back, because at the end of the day, it's going to get to that person anyway. So I just be upfront and fuck all that scuttlebutt and talk to them and be honest, because that's what it's all about. But there's a difference between a man who's a man and acts like a man and takes pride in being a man, an alpha male, and then a beta bitch. And unfortunately, there's a lot of beta bitches in this business.
Oh,
So
100%, man. I think there's in this generation of the woke generation, there's a lot of beta bitches going around. And, it's just, unfortunately, it's the society we live in at the
no, I
moment.
know, I know, we can't change it, but we can fix it. And unfortunately, here in the States, they're trying to push this nonsense about you know, don't eat, like the old school alpha male tough guy is now looked down upon as masculine, toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everywhere else around the world, that's what they're trying to push and get over. And unfortunately, that's the way it should be. Now, I'm not saying, be a bully, be a womanizer. No, 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 no. Like I don't, I strongly, strongly, strongly don't. A man should never hit a woman. That's why you'll never see me do intergender matches. I have daughters, and I can't justify hitting a woman in the ring ever. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'll do intergender tag matches where a man wrestles a man and a woman wrestles a woman. Done that once before, twice before. But you'll never see me wrestle a woman one on one. I don't care if AEW says, "Hey, if you don't do it, we're not giving you a contract." And I say, "Okay, then I'm not getting a contract." Or to WWE or New Japan. I don't feel that's a good message to give out to people, men fighting women. And not because it just portrays the wrong message. It's not okay to hit a woman, in my opinion. Now, people can disagree with me. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. And we can
Sure.
talk about it civilly. You know what I mean? But
Look,
I
I,
digress.
I was I was I was never a fan of intergender wrestling until probably recently, where I went, you know what, I can sit down and instead of watching it like as a wrestling fan, sit down and go, yeah, what, I can sit here and appreciate two people having a professional wrestling match right here in front of me. I get where you're coming from as well, because I've had the same points pointed out with other people saying, it promotes domestic violence, and I can hear it from both edges, swords, edges of the sword. But one of the things that I was told is it actually gives the female performers a chance to get better because they get to work with male talent, which they would not usually get to work with. So they get to learn better and become better performers.
Well, that's a sexualized statement right there, because they can work other women talent and get fucking better too. Doesn't
100% agree
necessarily
with that.
doesn't necessarily mean that men are better wrestlers. I mean, there are women wrestlers out there that wrestle better than some men that I know. And the fact is this: there's a certain way to put on a match, and you can call me old fashioned. I call it science. Men are just stronger than women. It's just biologically built that way. And if a man wrestles a woman the same way a man wrestles a man, then wrestler A, who's wrestling the woman, does the same moves he does to wrestler B a week ago, but now he's wrestling a woman in the current week, does the same moves, and it doesn't hurt the woman more, then he just hoard out everything he's done and it doesn't mean anything. If I
Yeah.
punch a wrestler and it's a guy and he gets back up, it's believable. It's two men fighting. If I punch a woman and a woman gets right back up, that means my punch means shit.
Yeah. Or
Unless,
you
unless
punch
the,
like, or they're going to think you punch like a bitch.
or you punch like a little kid. You know what I mean? So you kind of expose yourself. So there's a certain way to wrestle a woman, but the problem is you can't have that match for an entire card. You know what I
No.
mean? And I see certain wrestlers, and I'm not going to name their names because they're very talented. They're friends of mine that wrestle women all the time, but they wrestle women like they wrestle other guys, and it makes them look weaker, and it devalues them, and they don't realize that. And it's nothing against women. I think women wrestling is amazing. Not only WWE wrestling, but across the entire scope of professional wrestling. Back from the day when you used to watch Japanese women wrestling and Asia Kong and all that stuff, it was amazing.
Oh,
Fucking,
100%.
but there's a certain way to do it and do it right, and they're not doing it right to where it tells a good story and actually gets the people emotionally attached. Again, it's them trading move for move or whatever the case is, and they did the same thing with a guy last week, and the girl's selling just like the guy. So either the guy they wrestled last week was not as strong as they proclaimed to be, or the woman is twice as strong, but she's half the size of the man. It just doesn't. There's no connection. You got everything needs to make sense, but and people don't realize
Believability.
Exactly. Again, it's people doing shit for the sake of doing shit. What are you gonna do?
Oh man, look, it comes down to like as well. Like I think wrestling fans now have almost become desensitized to a lot of stuff. Where it's like, I don't think they necessarily the fans now look at it like you see a lot of fans when they go to shows, they want to go there, and most of the fans just want to be a part of the show, whether that's like, this is awesome, clap, 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 or, like work for it or whatever, like go forever, whatever they chant out. Whereas, like, do you think the fans' attention span is actually paying attention to what's going on in the ring, or do you think they're more interested in trying to get themselves over and get chants over?
The second part. And the fact is this. It all stems with the wrestler. Like I said earlier, we are the puppet masters. We control them, right?
Yeah.
They're allowing the fans to control us. So they'll do moves to try to pop the fans. Excuse me. They should be popping as soon as you walk out of the curtain, whether you're a heel or a baby face. I wrestle in Virginia, right? In Virginia Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm their U.S. Liberty Champion, one of the many titles that I hold currently. Cheap plug. Right? So I come out. I get so much heat. Let's say I have 10 minutes on the card in the back. My segment automatically becomes 20 minutes because of all the heat I get. I can't do anything because they're booing me so loud. And the problem is that the bookers and the owners are like, dude, you went over. I'm like, I know. But you see why? He goes, I know. It was awesome. It was hot. They hated you. You had so much heat from start to finish. So it's okay. So I tell him, give me a longer segment. This way I don't go over. So we incorporate all that in. It's not like I'm wrestling 20 minutes. I can't touch the guy for the first 5 minutes, 6, 7 minutes, because they're booing me out of the fucking building. Hundreds of people in unison chanting. They call me Little Caesar. Right? Because Papadon sounds like Papa John's Pizzeria, right? There's a Papa John Pizzeria here in the States. There's also something called Little Caesars, which is the pizzeria, right? So what happens? It manifested from Papa John's to Little Caesar. So they started chanting Little Caesar, who's a little Roman guy in a toga. And being the ham that I am, I do the silence. And they just think it's bothering me. And then, Little Caesar. Minutes and minutes. And I'm working the crowd and working the crowd and working the crowd. And then my job is so much easier because I'm controlling them. Yeah. You have guys going out there saying, well, I'm going to do this, and you're going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to chop you and stand there so you can chop me back. And then we're going to trade the blows and strikes, and then we're going to no-sell them, and then you're going to run to ropes, and I'm going to follow you, and then I'm going to run away from you, and you're going to follow me, because in a real fight, that's what we do. When I'm beating you up, I run away to bounce off the ropes. It's like, come on, dude. None of that shit fucking makes sense. Why are you doing it? Everything in the ring should have rhyme, reason, and logic behind it. 9 out of 10 times, some of these guys are doing it because they saw it on a show somewhere, or they saw someone who's overdo it. When you're over, you can do fuck all. Case in point, people's elbow. Fucking elbow drop is a finish. Why? Because The Rock was super over. Dusty Rhodes, elbow drop, boom. You know what I'm saying?
It's like Hulk Hogan, you know what I mean? Like throughout his run, what did he do? He came out, put the big boot up, hit the leg drop, did the fucking ear thing, did a flex and fucked off. And that was his fucking shtick.
And he made he made the most money at that time. You know what I mean? Like people don't understand. Yeah, the moves don't matter. The moves 100%. Don't fucking matter. And I try to tell this to them. Go on.
I was going to say, we even have like you look at Steve Austin, you know what I mean? Like his best matches were fucking years before he even got anywhere near the WWF, main event scene. As soon as he became a main eventer, his shit was, mainly brawling, comes out, hits a stunner, drinks a couple of beers, sends the crowd home happy. And you know what? Wrestling that style probably prolonged his career by fucking 5 years.
Well, put it this way, right? He broke his neck, so he had to change his style, right? And that's how you look. There's an old saying in the business, and I've learned this the hard way. You don't know how to work until you're injured. And I've got injured a few times where I had to work injured, and we learned how to work. One time I took a superplex off the top rope. I was wrestling Drew Gulak, and it fucked up my back, right? Because it was in a boxing ring, and the guy didn't take the beam out, so it was like me taking a suplex or giving a suplex onto the concrete floor. That's what it felt like. The next day, I was wrestling Joe Gacy, right, at NYWC. I couldn't walk. I hobbled my way into the ring, to the locker room, change. People were like, "What are you doing?" My wife's like, "You can't go wrestle time." I'm like, "Listen, gave a commitment. I'm a man of my word. I can't break it. I need to be there. If I start breaking fucking my word, I got nothing." So I show up. I told Gacy, "Listen, Gacy, sorry, brother. I'm fucked up. You're going to have to carry me tonight, and we can't go long. Let's see what we can do out there." God bless Gacy. He carried me 5 minutes, whatever it was. Boom, 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 boom. Short match. He got me through it. I fucking hobbled my way back, got dressed, went home. I thanked him, and to this day, I still will thank him. Great guy, great worker. So
I agree, yeah.
You know, you work around this. So Steve broke his neck, changed his style to a brawler, but again, he got so over, you know, stealing the Sandman sting with the beer and stealing the stunner from Mikey that, you know, he made it his own, and it worked. And I loved his match with Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens.
It was brilliant. I thought it was fucking great.
I mean, granted, the kicks in the corner, they never looked good when he was in his prime, but they didn't look that bad.
For a guy who hasn't wrestled for fucking 20 years and to go out there on like in front of 80,000 motherfuckers and do it, like,
dude, it was fun. It was so much fun. It was like watching wrestling in the 90s again. I felt like a kid, and I wasn't a big WWF guy. I was an NWA guy. Jim Crockett Promotions is my shit. I love the NWA that manifested into WCW. I was a WCW guy. I watched WWF, but I always was a WCW guy. And even that it was just fun. I had a smile on my face watching that match from start to finish. And Kevin Owens did a fucking fantastic job too as well. So kudos to both of them.
And you know what, Kevin Owens or Steen, you know, is a professional. But do you think like being in the ring, like the 14-year-old, you know, Kevin Steen is sitting there like marking the fuck out, going, "This is the fucking most like
fuck yes."
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you'd be lying if you said, "Yeah, it was all right." You know, like,
no. Put it this way: I wrestled Goldust in main event in company in Connecticut, New York. I'm sorry, Connecticut, which is a couple states further from New York, up north, right?
Yeah.
Dustin Runnels is one of the greatest guys I've ever worked. And the thing is, he's a sweetheart in and out of the ring. And he keeps getting better with age, just like me. We age like wine instead of most that age like milk. We go out there, we tear it the fuck up, have a great match. But as I come out of the ring first, heels come out first. I get all the fucking heat as my entrance, this, that, and the other. His Goldust music hits. And for a hot second, I'm standing in the ring, and like the kids say, I got all the feels. I'm like, I hear the music, and I'm like, wow. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, what am I doing? I'm in the fucking match. You know what I mean?
Like wake the fuck up.
Yeah. So I was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? So it happens, bro. It happens. I mean, there's plenty of times I've been wrestling guys I saw TV. Like, I'm like, I can't believe I'm wrestling this fucking guy. You know, I like one instance I wrestled La Parka, you know, and we had a great fucking match, but he's breathing like he's fucking dying underneath the mask. I kept asking him, "You okay?" "Yeah, see. Okay." I thought he was gonna die on me. You know what I mean? Granted, he's up there in age, but we had a fucking fantastic match, you know, and it was fun. And then I wrestled Hoovy. Hoovy was fun too, but I saw him at one WrestleMania weekend. And I'm like, "Hey man, what's up?" He looks at me. He goes, "I go, you don't remember me?" He goes, "No." I was like, "Dude, we wrestled a 4-way match for the SATs promotion in New York." "Oh." And all night, I'm like, you know what? No worries. All night, I kept fucking him at the bar. I kept walking up to him and like, "Hey, man, you remember me now? Hey, man, you remember me now? Hey, man, you remember me now?" At the end of the night, we're hanging out, and he's like, "All night, you're asking me this." I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm ribbing you, fuck. Calm down." You know, like, anyhow.
But
Chung has a good story about Hoovy. You probably heard it.
Yeah. He told me the one. But did you ever see the promo that he did? I think it was like back in the day, like the early 2000s XPW, and he was like trying to cut this promo on The Rock, and it was just like it was just in broken English, the whole thing,
It's a
and he's like
fucking
trying to
juice,
steal
baby.
The Rock shit.
I remember that shit. Yeah, it's just he's a juice. But anyway.
Oh man, but even he looks in great shape when we saw
Oh
him at
yeah,
AEW. But, you know, like
yeah.
he
Don't get me
looks
wrong.
incredible.
He can still go. So good on him. I'd like to get him in a singles match, but whatever.
Yeah, man. But yeah, talking about AEW, you had a recent showing on there a few months back as well. How did that come about?
Uh, let's see. I sent in an email to the proper authorities, and a week before or 2 weeks before my match, I get a response email saying, "Hey, here's your itinerary." My itinerary for what? And I hit him up. I called the guy up. I'm like, "Hey, man, what's this for?" I said, "I never got a confirmation email." "Oh, I sent you a confirmation email 2 weeks ago." "Never got it." I said, "I can't make it to this date." He goes, "Well, I said, when's the next time you guys are doing tapings?" "Oh, this might be the last time we're going to be traveling. We don't know if we're going to be doing dark anymore." Because this was at Dolly's place in Florida during the pandemic. So
Yeah.
I said, he goes, "But the end of the loop is, the following 2 days." I said, "All right, can I get on that instead so I can try to get a flight because I can't find a flight. It's too close. Everything's booked." All right. So I found a flight and went down there. And then had a great match. Teamed up with what's his name? Oh man, my memory's so bad. Um, he's Samoan, or he was in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Sean Maluda,
Yes, Maluda. Thank you. Teamed up with Maluda against the Dark Order. Uno and
Grayson.
yes, Grayson. Thank you again. Memory shot, and we had a great match. Fantastic match. They loved it. I come to the back. All the agents loved it. Everyone who I knew there were like, "Bro, you belong here." All the workers were telling me it's good to see you here. I hope it works out for you. I have tons of friends there. Reynolds, Silver, Nice, Jerry Lynn. Uh, I know everyone there.
Yeah.
Great feedback. I thought it was going to lead to something. Nothing. Story of my career. Go everywhere, do everything, impress everybody. Nothing happens. Get told, "Oh, you're on the waiting list. You're on my list. We're going to book you for this event." Nothing happens. Story of my career. So I got to keep on trucking.
Yeah, man. Because you also had opportunities in WWE as well, and yeah, was that the same thing? Like they just sort of said, "Hey, man, great work," everything like that, all positive, and then radio silence.
Unfortunately, I got stories for that. Unfortunately, when I first started working with WWE, I was getting told that Vince McMahon wants 6'4" guys during the Johnny Laurinaitis eras, right?
Yeah.
And Jamie Noble was the agent telling me, "Dude, I'm 5'7", you're taller than me, but I got a job here." He said, "Don't give up. Maybe one day it'll be different." I said, "Okay, whatever. What can I do?" The last time I worked with WWE, I got pulled to the side by William Regal. Him and I spoke for over an hour. I love William Regal, sweetheart of a man, both in and out of the ring. One of the guys that I take my style after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was going to get me to the performance center, put me on a list. I got pushed back a month, or the next tryout. Got pushed back the next tryout. Then I wasn't on the list anymore. A year goes by. I hit him up. I tell him what happened. I said, "Hey, man, A, B, and C happened." I go, "First off, I hope you still remember who I am." He goes, "Of course I remember who you are." He goes, "All right, I'm going to get you there." "Thank you, sir. I appreciate it." A week later, I get an email from him. "Listen, I fought hard for you. I'm sorry, but Canyon Seaman, who was the head at the time of talent relations, doesn't want to give you an opportunity because of your age." I got so pissed. Thank you for your opportunity. Thank you for trying. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
He goes, "Get over on the indies as much as you possibly can so they can't say no." No problem. Been trying to do that. Again, the indies, a lot of these promoters are marks. They just book what's the flavor of the week, and they claim they're promoters, and they don't promote. They figure they'll draw the house. They don't want to put up flyers. They don't want to put up fucking advertisements. They just throw things on Facebook or social media thinking that's promoting, and they draw shit, and then they wonder why, and then they end up losing money every show. Running a show is very, very difficult. Running a promotion is extremely difficult. That's why I haven't ventured in it, because it's a lot of work, and I don't have enough time to dedicate to do it, or the financial means to do it. But that's what happened. Never been to the performance center. Never got an opportunity to try out for position. Did go to OVW once in '07. Got picked to go back. And some personal shit happened here with a lawsuit on my end that took all my funds that was supposed to pay for my traveling expenses and my lift and shift of my family to Kentucky. Had to use it on lawyer fees. Luckily, I won the case because I was innocent. And story of my career, bro. Get tryouts for New Japan, impress them. Get tryouts for Noah. Get told I'm taking, be brought to Japan. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Go to TNA twice. Wrestle great. Wrestle ton of TNA talent in NWA cyberspace. Get told we're going to be brought into TNA. Get signed. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Start my career. Go to Ring of Honor. Wrestle for every fucking booker in the Ring of Honor. Get told nothing but great things every time I'm there. We're going to bring you back. We're going to sign you. We're going to sign you. Ungats. Nothing. Same thing.
Did it ever get to the point where you were like, fuck, like, how much more of this can I go through? Like, was there ever a point of you going, fuck this? Or was it like
every single day of my life, bro? Come on. Wrestling, I hate fucking wrestling, but I love wrestling. It's a weird dynamic. And I tell that all the time. And when I travel with people, especially seasoned veterans, they hear me say that, they laugh. You know what I mean? Or the newbies, like there's a guy I travel with named Joey Conway, good hand, good up and coming talent, good heel. Every time I'm in the car, something happens or I'm tired, I'm like, fucking hate wrestling. He starts laughing his ass off. Then I go and have a great match and I come back. He goes, you still hate wrestling? I go, no, I love it right now. Give me 5 minutes. I'll hate it again. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. But even though it bothers me every day, here's two things I'm going to say. And this is, you guys can take it as inspiration or you can take it for whatever it's worth. Number one, when I got into this business at the Doghouse many years ago, I was told there's nothing guaranteed in this business. You'll end up hurt. You'll end up broken, mentally, physically, spiritually. Do you still want to do it? Yes. So this business don't owe me a goddamn thing because it's not supposed to.
Yeah.
Even though I've made it my lifestyle the last 23 years, my time hasn't come yet. So will it ever come? Who knows? I thought it was going to come. Looked like it was going to come many times, and it fell short. But this business doesn't owe me a goddamn thing. 2, if I ever walk away from the table, I will never get a winning hand. So I will stay at this table till either 1, I decide to walk away, or 2, die at the table. So that's it. It'll eventually come to me, hopefully. We'll see.
You know, like when someone, like you were saying how like Canyon Seaman said, oh, he wasn't interested, he's too old. It really pisses me off that some of the facts that, like some of the reasons that they go back and give guys, like I was having a conversation with, Louis Boogaloo, like the other night, and we were talking about like he had an opportunity similar, and they said, oh, you're too short. And it's like, motherfucker, like you're telling someone we're not interested in you because there's something that you can't physically change. You can't go and make yourself younger. You can't go at like 25, 26 and grow an extra fucking half a foot. You know what I mean? Like at what point, why the fuck would you even, if that's the reason why, if you're only a little bit taller or you're a little bit younger, like why even put that fucking excuse out there to begin with? Like I find
that's all they got. That's all they got. They couldn't say anything else bad about Boogie because Boogie's a phenomenal worker and he's a man's man. So here's the deal, though. He's not getting paid to grab rebounds in the NBA. You know what I mean? He's not getting paid to slam dunk a basketball, so he doesn't need to be tall. People, you book Boogaloo, you book him as Taz. People call him Baby Taz because that's what he wrestles. You know what I'm saying? He's short. He could be the underdog until he becomes that fucking wrestling machine, and he just dominates. You know,
and he's a solid dude though. Like
absolutely,
he's a fucking unit, man.
Him and I've danced plenty of times and had a lot of fun. Right? I am 44 years old. I will be 45 years old in July. And again, I'll be doing this 23 years in July. I don't look 44. I don't feel 44. I feel 22 years old. I outlast everyone in this fucking ring. Every time I train, every show I go on, I have the 20 and 30-year-olds getting blown up, huffing and puffing in the ring, and I'm just barely breaking a sweat. I never get blown up in the ring, ever. You can ask anyone who's been in the ring with me, anyone I've ever trained with, I don't get blown up, ever. Now, 5 minutes playing with my kids, I'm blown
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Guaranteed. But in that ring, I'm a fucking machine. You know, Mike Mondo, buddy of mine, him and I were like both wrestling machines. When he comes to training and we would train, we would be in the ring 40, 45 minutes, hour and a half, just rolling around and training and going and doing this and that. And people are like, what the fuck? What are you doing? You can ask guys at the doghouse. I used to work down on Wall Street, hence why the lawsuit happened, right?
Yeah.
I would show up 11 o'clock at the doghouse, wrestle till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're yelling at me, Jimmy, Papadon, get the fuck out of the ring. We want to smoke weed. We want to play wrestling video games on Dreamcast, on Nintendo 64. Get out. Okay. And then I'd go wake up at 6 a.m. and go to work all day and do it all over again. You know, I only had 1 month of training under my belt after I had my first match. And 6 months since I had that ladder match with Homicide that everyone talks about at the doghouse. So I take pride in saying that people who are training 1-2 years to get their first match, I had mine in a fucking month. Not many could say that. You know what I mean?
How was the first match though? Like,
it was the drizzling shits.
Yeah.
It was the drizzling shits. We called a couple things. I went out there. I forgot everything. First 3 seconds, because I was a Sting mark. I hit a Stinger splash, put him in a Scorpion Deathlock. You know what I'm saying? And he got to the ropes. And then we just fucking went along. Whatever it was, it was. You know what I mean?
Do you remember who you were working?
Yeah, Simply the Best, Andrew Edwards. I'll never forget it. My first match. You know what I mean? And it was on my birthday, July 17, 1999, my 22nd birthday. So, you know, all that comes into memory. You know what I mean? Ask me what I had for breakfast this morning. Fuck do I remember? Ask me who I have guys come up to me. Hey man, great match we had. When the fuck did we work? That happened with you know, what's his name? Big LG. What's his name?
Luke Gallows.
Luke Gallows. When he had his first run as Festus in WWE, he comes up to me. Hey, Papadon. I look at him. I'm like, do I know? How do we know each other? He goes, we wrestled each other. When the fuck did I wrestle you? I said, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I go, but I would remember wrestling a big Mama Luke like you. He goes, I used to team up with Crazy Ivan at Frank Goodman's show. I went, holy shit. I said, bro, I'm so sorry. I said, I couldn't put it together. He's like, don't worry about it. I look totally different now. So it's like, you know, it happens all the time. One of my sons goes to me, Dad, how many matches have you had? And I looked and I said, I don't know. I said, I've been wrestling. It's going to be 23 years. I said, there's been certain times where I wrestled once a week. There's been certain times, if you include training and, you know, training matches or whatever, in-ring work, just rolling around, I wrestled like 10 matches in a week. You know, there's times where I wrestled I did a tour in England where I wrestled every day, every day of the week. And I was there for 3 weeks. So I said, let's be conservative. Let's do 1 match per week for 23 years. Right. I did 22 years. Right. It was over 1,300 matches, over 1,200 matches. So to me, I can't remember that shit. It's like changing socks. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's not. So put it this way: if I got a call today and said, "Hey, we want you on Monday Night Raw," we're not telling you who you wrestle. I go to Monday Night Raw and they tell me, "Okay, you're wrestling Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns in the main event. Go. You can't talk to him. Got to call it out in the ring. No problem. Let's go." I wouldn't even have a second qualm. Would I be anxious and nervous? Yeah, I get anxious and nervous before every match. But I know what I can do, and I guarantee you will fucking steal the show. And it's not me being cocky. I'm just confident in what I do. I know what I can do, you know? And
it makes, like that's the thing is, like, I think with, being seasoned, being experienced, being able to go out there and do that, like when Luke Hawks was down here in Sydney, like we were sort of talking about wrestling and stuff like that.
Hold on 1 second. Put a pin in that. Shout out to my brother, Luke Hawks. I love you, brother. You know that. Him and I go way back. He's my brother from another mother. And I love that guy. I do anything for that guy. Shout out to Luke. I love you, bro. And his son. His son is fucking awesome too. Go on.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, Luke's a great dude. But we were hanging out and we are just talking, generally about wrestling. And he's like, man, a lot of guys today are, phenomenal wrestlers, but they can't work.
Exactly.
And I was like, what do you mean? And he sort of broke it down very similar to how you were breaking down earlier. And I was like, oh, I get it. And he goes, man, I could go out there and just fucking go. You know what I mean?
You want to hear a good story about Luke and myself?
Fucking oath. Let's do it.
Luke and I were starting a faction at Extreme Wrestling. It was myself, Homicide, Luke, and Boogie, right? We were the 4 of us. We were supposed to be like the upstarts, the young guys coming up.
Yeah.
Well, Extreme Rising, whatever it's called, not Extreme Wrestling, excuse me, Extreme Rising. Extreme Rising fucking folded. Fucking dumbass Steve O'Neill fucked it up. And that's a story for another time, but anyhow, Luke and I stayed close ever since then. So one year at the Legends Fest in North Carolina, they used to do the NWA's Legends Fest, but they took the name NWA out for legal reasons. They called it Legends Fest.
Yeah.
I'm wrestling Luke. So I meet Lance Storm that day, and I asked Lance to please watch my match. Right? No problem. And I walk up to my favorite wrestler of all time, Tommy Young, who in my opinion is the greatest referee of all time. Sorry, Earl Hebner, you're up there, but Tommy Young's better than you. So I go to him, I said, hey, bro, do you mind refereeing my match? He goes, I'm sorry, kid, I'm only here for the Rock and Roll Express. I said, all right, man. I said, you're my favorite referee of all time. He goes, where are you from? I said, oh, I live in New York. He goes, you know who I am? I said, of course I know who you are. I said, Jim Crockett Promotions, the NWA. I watched you growing up. It was my favorite era of wrestling. He goes, all right, kid. He goes, listen, if I have it in me, I'll let you know in a little bit. I'll do it. If not, I said, look, there's no pressure. If you think you can do it and you want to do it, you're on my bucket list to work with you. Great. If not, then no problem. I understand. So he comes up to me and goes, all right, kid, I got you tonight. So Luke and I do the match. Yeah. All right, Luke and I do the match. I do a flying European off the second row. I go for it again. Luke catches me, hits me with a German. So 1, 2, 7, 8. I kick out. Boom. He counts 3. Right? I flip out because that wasn't the finish of the match. Luke was going over. I forgot what he was going over with, but that wasn't the finish. I get up in his face. Blah, 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 blah. I give him the push. He pushes me. I take the bump. The place explodes. Like it's fucking Charlotte 84, right? Yeah. I go up to get him. He hides behind Luke. Luke steps up. I back out, take a step back. He bumps out the ring and gets the fuck out of Dodge. I leave. All that was done on the fly. That was not a spot called in the match because that wasn't the finish. So I come in the back. Luke and I, thank each other, whatever. I go up to Lance Storm. I said, I asked Lance to watch our match. Luke comes with me. I said, hey, Lance, what did you think? He goes, it's a great match. He goes, there's only one thing I would have changed, real minor. He goes, Luke did this one move in the beginning of the comeback. I would have saved that move for the end of the comeback because it was such a big move. He goes, it would have been a better build-up. He goes, other than that, perfect match. I love the stuff with the referee at the end. I go, that was done on the fly. Then Lance looks at me and goes, really? I said, yeah, that wasn't the finish. He said he counted 3. I kicked out. He claims he counted 3. Maybe the referee got tired. Maybe he just wanted to get the fuck out of there. I don't know, but I know I kicked out because I always kick out the last minute. And he goes, fuck, that was awesome then. He goes, that makes it even better. I said, thanks, man. I appreciate it. So ever since then, Lance and I have been cool. And then Luke, myself, and Tommy Young took a picture together. And that was just like a little fucking like a little story with Luke. You know what I mean? Just we both marked out the Tommy Young fucking got the match. He was in our match. It was really cool. And then, that night we hung out, drinks together. It was always awesome. So
that's awesome, man. And like, did the referee talk to you after, like Tommy Young come up to you and talk to you after the match?
Yeah, he goes, you didn't kick out. I said, no, I kicked out, man. I said, I kicked out. I know I did, but it's okay. We made it work. I go, we took something that wasn't supposed to happen. And we made something out of nothing. We worked it well. He goes, yeah, it's called working, kid. I said, thank you, sir. Thank you for everything. I go, it was everything I wanted. It was awesome. So
was the promoter like upset that Luke didn't go?
No, they loved it. The crowd was crazy. They hate me. I get so much heat, bro. Piers, I'm not bullshitting you when I tell you. My wife says I have a great knack on pissing people off. She knows firsthand. You know what I mean? You can ask Boog. You can ask Mega. The amount of heat I get anywhere I go, it's so fucking awesome. It's so old school. I got it. I did a show with Ricky and the Rock and Roll Express. All right. And Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. And they're watching my match. And I'm fucking getting so much heat. So much fucking heat. The crowd's like, they're on the edge of their seat. And I know what people say, oh, the crowd's at the end. They literally were fucking true. They wanted to lynch me. That's how fucking bad they hated me. So I was wrestling Phil Brown, the guy I beat for the title, by the way. But this was years prior. He beat me. Yeah. And Phil Brown, shout out to you, man. I love you, my brother. Great fucking wrestler. Great guy. So he ends up going over. And as he beats me, I tell him, stand up over me and yell out 3 into my face. Because I do a shtick, and all you fuckers out there better not steal it, that when the referee counts 2, I yell 3 in his face, and he goes 2. 2, and I go 3, and the crowd then goes 2, and I go 3, 2, 3, 2 with the crowd. I've been doing it for the last 23 years, right? That's my high spot, right? So it works. And none of you fuckers better steal it because that's all I got. Anyhow, so when I told him to go on top of me and go 3, the crowd fucking went nuts because he's in my face, standing over me, all dominant. And I'm calling it from underneath, laying on the mat. And he's like, "Thanks, guy. Thanks, bro. Thanks." No problem. We go in the back. Ricky and Bobby were like, "Bro, that was some fucking great heat." He goes, "You could have took it home off the lockup and the crowd would have been crazy." He goes, "You should have, because I understand the promoter pays you. You got to wrestle." He goes, "But you had him right there. You could have took it home." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I go, "Story of my career." And they started laughing. Great guys to rock and roll wrestling, bro. Love those guys. They're on my bucket list. I would love to work them.
Oh, dude, 100%, man. And it's like, dude, you know what? Like, I've never paid anyone to be on my show to do an interview. And I hit up Ricky Morton, and his response was, "Hey, brother, I'd love to do your show, $200. And I went, I thought about it, and I was like, do I want to do it? Like, I don't want to be a mark. And I was like, nah. But I was like, that was the only one where I was like, where I've been told by someone, "Hey, man, it's going to cost you to have me on your show." That was the only time I've really contemplated, forking out money for it. But,
well, he's a sweetheart, so he's also a businessman. Yeah, he has a family.
Oh, dude, no, I respect it, bro. I respect it. But it is getting to that time. It is.
Well, just make sure when you pay me.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna transfer you the money when we're done.
Make sure it's not Aussie dollars, because 200 Aussie dollars is like $2 US. So don't do that shit.
But it is that time of the show. It is time for Guess the Aussie Slang. How this is going to work, I'm going to throw a slang word out or an Australian phrase at GGP, and he's going to tell me what it means. Okay, so we're going to get started. Have you ever been to Australia before, bro?
No, I used to have family in Australia, but they moved back to Greece.
Okay, so you may have picked up a few words. So we'll start off one. This one is drongo. Mate, you are a fucking drongo.
Drunk?
Drongo is more like a bit of a fool, bit of a dick. Mate, what a fucking drongo, like a flop.
Like Ivan Drongo.
Yeah. All right. So next one is Esky. Hey, can you do us a favor? Head down to the servo, mate, and fill the Esky up.
Fill the Esky up? Is that like a fucking, like a mug? Like a pint?
No, it's like a cooler. So you get an Esky full of ice, you chuck your beer in it, all that sort of stuff that when you go off. But all right, so this one is a phrase: dry as a dead dingo's donger. What does that mean? Or when would I use that phrase?
When you're watching the crowd reaction of an Alvin Alvarez match? Or Joey Tell match?
No, it's more of like when you say like, "Oh man, my mouth is dry as a dead dingo's donger," like you're thirsty, like I've got like cotton mouth, so we need to go down that.
Gotcha.
But,
all
right. So here's another one. This one is budgie smuggler. So I'll put this one in a sentence for you. So
I think I wrestled that guy last week.
All right, so I'll put it in a sentence for you. Oh shit, my dad came over to my house and he's out by the pool. He's wearing his fucking budgie smuggler again.
Got it. Like banana hammock, those fucking Speedos?
Yeah, like a Speedo, exactly. So, because when they get wet, you get out of the water, it looks like you're smuggling or anyway, you know what I mean? But, all right. So, here's another one I'll give you. It's dead set. Mate, are you fucking dead set by doing that shit? Dead set.
You dead set. Does that mean like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what it is. So, yeah, are you fucking serious? All right, so we'll go a couple more I've got for you as well. All right, so this is going to be a multi-choice one. So this is going to be, this is going to be Franger, Old Fella, Sheila, Root. Okay? So I'm going to put this in a sentence. Hey, Papadon, man, you got a spare Franger from the Old Fella? I just picked up this Sheila and she's keen for a Root.
Sheila's a chick.
Yep.
Root's a shag.
Yep.
Now what were the first two words again? Say it again. Do I have
Franger? Do you have a Franger from the Old Fella?
A condom for your Johnson?
That's it. There you go. You picked that one up straight away. All right, so we'll go another one, which is bogan. My uncle Daryl is a fucking bogan.
My Uncle Darren is a fucking bogan. Like a legend?
A bogan is kind of like an Australian redneck. So how like how a bogan would talk. This is my best impersonation of a bogan. Yeah, Papadon, mate. Look, we're going to go down the fucking pub. We'll grab a couple of skewies and, mate, we might grab a schnitto after that, mate. Oh, mate, we might check out that Sheila. She's got a couple of nice bolt-ons, mate. I wouldn't mind having a fucking crack at that, mate. Maybe have a few slap of the pokies and maybe go and get a dirty kebab afterwards. What do you say, mate? You up for it or what?
Cheers. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. But that has been, yes, the Aussie slang. Bro, thank you very much for coming on, man. I always say this, when you can go an hour and 15 minutes and not even know, like, you've been sitting here that long, you know, you've had great conversation. I'd love to get you back on for a part 2, bro, because I feel like we could obviously sit here for the next couple of hours, man. So absolutely, man, next couple of weeks, we'll try and lock that in. But where can everyone find you on social media? Tell everyone where they can support you, get some merch as well.
Absolutely. So my social media links are at Greek God Papadon on Twitter, on Instagram and Getter, Demetrius Papadon on Facebook. My YouTube page where I have promos and matches is Greek God Papadon. Go subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, comment, all that nonsense. Pro Wrestling Tees is the t-shirt store that I have my GGP shirts at. You can go get them at Pro Wrestling Tees / Greek God Papadon. You can catch me doing the NFO podcast, the New Force Order, which is a Star Wars podcast, on all platforms for podcasting: Stitcher, iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, your mother's house, whatever. And it's you can catch at New Force Order, and it's at NFO_podcast on Twitter, New Force Order on Instagram, official New Force Order on Facebook. This Saturday, the 23rd, I'll be wrestling at Immortal Championship Wrestling, where I got my belt stolen the last time I was in an Immortal Championship Wrestling ring by some fucking twat. And there's a 3-way match now. Myself, Jay Freddy, and he calls himself the Moonlight Child. What a fucking Rainbow Bright ass called. He's the champ right now. Mike Skyros, for now. 3-way dance. The 23rd, Immortal Championship Wrestling in Rome, New York. And then following weekend, I will be in Virginia at Virginia Championship Wrestling, where I am the current U.S. Liberty champion, where I'll be in a full-weight dance for the Virginia Championship Wrestling heavyweight champion. So I may become a double crown champion, where I'll be wrestling Ken Dixon, who's the champion, Brandon Scott, and Dirty Money in a 4-way dance. And that's going to be in Norfolk, Virginia. Check it out, Virginia Championship Wrestling. The 21st of May, off the top of my head, I'll be wrestling a new Evolution Wrestling in Queens, New York, in an intergender tag team match. Where's my phone? It's myself versus I'm teaming up with a female wrestler. No, not Alvin Alvarez, even though he has boobs. The female wrestler who I will be teaming up with is called, give me 1 second. I just don't want to fuck up the name. Sorry for being unprofessional for a hot minute. Here we go. It's myself and Ariel Nix versus Jorge Sante and Nevaeh Chantel. So if you think I'm going to get in the ring with these two sandwich makers and smack them around, no, that's not going to happen. But I will smack around Jorge Sante like I like to do, because he's a beta bitch. So that's that. I have some other bookings I can't remember off the top of my head, but the only reason I remember those is because I got the graphics for that, and I've been pushing them on social media. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving us your time. And Piers, thank you for having me, man. It was a blast. You know, absolutely, I'd like to come on again. Hey, maybe we get the NFO podcast on the MWA network as well. Maybe we'll fucking get some Aussie listeners on here. We'll see.
Fuck, let's do it, man. Let's talk about it. But guys, huge shout out to GGP for giving his time and coming on. Guys, make sure you check out our sponsors, healthvape.com and sleeps.com. Use that promo code MWA pod to get a 10% discount. Check out all the shows on the MWA podcast network, like Knights of the Gimmick Table with the Dead Presidents and Cade Lothbrock. Check out Killing the Business.
Fuck Cade Lothbrock. That piece of shit. He's no good, jabroni. Fake a Viking. I am the real champion, Cade Lothbrook. I put you in the camel clutch. I break your back. I fuck your ass. And you like it. But I make you humble. You fucking bastard.
I don't think we can say much more to that. Guys, we'll see you again soon. All the best. Take care. Peace.